is a live copyrighted presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for RadioLawTalk.com with your host, Frederick Penny, attorney at law. And now, RadioLawTalk.com.
Welcome for the last time to Radio Law Talk 1 hour show. It's official. We're going 3 hours. So, pardon the cough, but guess what? They pulled our cough buttons because as you can see, those of you on YouTube, the one time I need to do the cough buttons are gone. I've never used it in my life. I needed a cough. And look at everybody that's on YouTube. You can look how clean and sterile looking our beautiful studio is. But this is the last time we're going to be 1 hour. Starting next week, it's 3 hours of pure, exhilarating radio law talk with my co-host Denise Dirks, Todd Cunin, and the Harvard boy, and he hates when I say that, Chris Rodriguez.
Sir Harvard.
It's all good. It's all good.
Thanks a million, Cal Hunter, back there pushing the buttons, and Seth Madden, who is our call screener, and tweeted out twice today, and doggone it, I don't know, I have a sore throat, but it's what happened is I rolled in at 2 a.m., and I think Cal rolled in at 3 a.m., and we've had a rough night, but we're ready for Radio Law Talk. We're going to have some fun topics today. Oh, my gosh, we're laughing before the show even started. We should have been live before even the show started because we talked about some really interesting things, but listen what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Kanye West. We're going to talk about seats in the airlines. We're going to talk about some natural foods issues. And then we're also going to talk about candy box fraud. Very important topic.
Candy box fraud?
Candy box fraud is what it is. So candy box fraud is a problem. I think we probably should take that topic first, but we're not going to because that's one of the most important things right now going on is that there's 35% air in some of these candy boxes, and we're going to talk about that later.
I can handle having my bank account drained. I can handle identity theft. I can handle all sorts of things, but you fraudulently advertise my candy box, and there's going to be heck to pay. I'll tell you what.
When I buy a 2-pound box of hot tamales, by God, I expect 2 pounds of hot tamales.
2 pounds, and if there's an ounce less,
But guess what? It's not. No, the actual, we're going to talk about it again. We're already getting into something we're not supposed to be getting into yet. But it actually is the amount that's in there. But the box is so huge, you think you're deceived by it. Oh, that looks like 500 pounds of hot tamales. And you roll out about 3 or 4. And so they're actually being sued by someone. Heaven forbid. But the most important thing is Kanye West that Denise is going to chit-chat about. Kanye West is more important than that. So let's talk about these important legal issues with Kanye West.
Hey, I also want to say thanks, Hannah, for liking us on Instagram. And Kanye West filed a $10 million suit.
Yes, it's a trifling. Call us at 855-LAW-RADIO if you want to call in, by the way. I forgot to say that.
Sure. $10 million?
$10 million.
Listen to him. He's singing right now.
Now I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no.
Oh, Cal's rocking out.
Now I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't
There's
messing
Kanye. What's he doing? What's happening?
So he has filed a $10 million lawsuit against the Lloyds of London and their subsidiary and other entities that come underneath the umbrella of the Lloyds of London. Now, the Lloyds of London provide insurance, and Kanye and his touring company on the St. Pablo tour, they paid for insurance in case something happened and he had to cancel. And we all know that something happened and he had to cancel. In fact, on October 2nd, 2016, he was interrupted in his tour, the first phase of his tour, by being told that his wife had been robbed, and dramatically robbed, and very intensely hurt. Not physically, but emotionally.
Who's his wife again? I'm sorry, I don't follow all that. Who's his wife again?
His wife is Kim Kardashian.
That's
Kim
right.
Kardashian.
Oh, that's right. I know Todd knows about that.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. I follow her. And through the 7 degrees or 6 degrees of separation, Kim Kardashian's dad was one of O.J. Simpson's lawyers.
Oh, nice.
Yes, true.
Yes.
Little trivia there.
Yes.
But we're back.
So, anyway, he immediately after this October 2nd, he started to deteriorate on the second half of the tour, and it was probably mental reasons that he was deteriorating, and so he had to cancel a tour. In fact, it started in San Jose, in California, and that he started making really weird comments and talking, and people were booing him. And then in Sacramento, it got worse.
Yes.
And he actually canceled that tour, that concert in Sacramento, and everybody was upset. It was a big uproar. Then he canceled the rest of the tour, and he immediately checked himself into a mental hospital.
He was like on a psych hold, right? I mean, I think his family said, "Don't let him out."
Yeah, no, everybody was afraid for him because he was acting so erratically, and he was under psychosis.
Yeah, we had people go to that concert here in Sacramento, and I remember them saying he just was on some weird rampage. And yet when he came out of the concert, of the arena, he was getting in his car, and he was super nice to people. Said, "Hey, how are you? Man, thanks for coming."
Yeah, it was like flipping a switch. And so anyway, from what I can tell, he did everything he was supposed to do. He checked himself in. He stayed in and had mental health treatment. He has prescriptions, apparently, for mental health disorder, and they stabilized him. And the doctors wrote letters on his behalf to try to get him to be able to collect upon this insurance policy. Well, insurance policies have restrictions. And part of the insurance policy in this case had restrictions about drugs. And the Lloyd's of London tried to claim, or has claimed actually openly, that it was marijuana that caused him to go into this psychosis so that they don't have to pay.
What, we're gonna break off and talk more about marijuana? That's a shocker. Not our program. We never talk about marijuana.
Kanye West may have done marijuana. I'm shocked.
Well,
Todd, watch what you say. You might end up on his legal team, my
Well,
friend.
I said may. Yeah, well, yeah, I could,
Well, the
but I don't
question-
like fish sticks. So there's an inside joke for anybody that understands that.
That's
but
a
go
long
on.
one. It's a long one.
I don't get it. But
Move on.
yeah,
Move on, counselor.
2 minutes left.
in any event, Kanye did everything that he was supposed to do. He underwent an independent medical examination, IME for those of
Right.
you, and then his wife even did an examination under oath on his behalf. So everything that he should have done, it looks like he did do. And he had his physicians even write letters about that he could not have attended the concert. He could not do it. And there's kind of this underlying thing about how marijuana impacts prescription medication, and if marijuana is legal in California, which he filed in federal court. Why did he file in federal court?
Because he wanted to. I
Because
don't know.
marijuana
Here's
is still illegal on the federal level?
Nope, because diversity of jurisdiction,
Hey,
right?
you had to see this. Go back and look at YouTube. The 3 top lawyers in the state of California were looking at each other like,
Well, typically people file in federal court because they want a more conservative jury pool. So that seems odd. I would think you would
There's
want a more
Kim.
liberal.
"This is Kim."
They had to.
Well, I guess that the
They had-
Lloyds could have removed it, right?
Yeah,
So.
exactly. Because the defendants are from another country, then they needed to file it.
How much is he asking for again?
He's asking for $10 million.
Oh,
$10 million.
well, that's
10
nothing.
million.
That's 2 concerts for him.
Well, it's really odd that Lloyd's of London are being so strict
Yeah.
and trying to fight it so hard.
Are insurance companies are fighting it?
I'm shocked at that. This is the same company that gave David Lee Roth paternity insurance during one of Van Halen's tours.
There you
So
go.
They'll insure anything.
All right, we're going to come back and talk more about this. Especially, we're going to talk about Tiger Woods, DUI, and Todd will probably talk about marijuana again. I'm going to put money on that. We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to RadioLawTalk.com. And now back to your host, Frederick Penny.
Remember, when you're tired of politics radio, keep it right here. We're going to talk about the law and have fun with it. If you have a legal issue, make sure you see a local lawyer. We're just talking about general topics, and if you think you're going to learn everything from us, you probably will. But anyway, we have to say you won't.
Way to cover our liabilities there.
There you go.
You will win your case just by listening. Guaranteed. I guarantee it.
Or radio. Stand up. Chris, stand up and show the camera the back of your shirt. Radio Law Talk. Who needs law school? That's right. I love our saying on the back of our shirt, and I sent some to my son at law school, and he's passing them out. I can't wait till they show up to torts, and everybody's got their Who Needs Law School Radio Law Talk shirt.
I could just see somebody in court standing up, and now it's time for your closing argument. You've chosen to represent yourself. What are you going to say? He says, I'm actually just going to play the podcast from Radio Law Talk.
That's exactly.
That'll do everything for me.
There you go.
And the jurors, we have been moved by these words. We believe that the defendant is entitled to no less than plaintiff is entitled to no less than $100,000 compensatory and $5 million punitive.
That's exactly
Thank you,
right.
Radio Law Talk.
And then the judge's like, that was a wonderful argument.
No, the judge will be like the guy in Billy Madison. We are all now dumber for having heard you. Thank you. May God have mercy on your soul.
Oh, my gosh.
And ours.
And ours. Oh, my gosh. Okay, let's finish up with Kanye West so we can move on to more important things like marijuana and DUI and Tiger Woods' latest issue that Todd's going to teach us.
Well, Kanye filed in federal court in California, and he filed a breach of contract and a breach of the good faith and fair dealing. That is a law that is very liberal in California, and he may have a case. On the other side, he filmed everything. He had a crew filming 24/7. So this film is going to be very important for the Lloyd's of London.
Good evidence.
Agents to get their hands on to find out exactly what he was doing, and it may show his descent into his mental health condition as well.
And there may be a nanny cam somewhere they can find too, like we talked about.
A Kanye cam somewhere.
Yes. Well, he definitely has to turn these secret tapes over or secret films over in this lawsuit. So it's going to be kind of an interesting one. And so anyway,
that would be great to be the lawyer that gets to be paid to sit in the room and watch these
$400 an hour.
24 hours of Kanye.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
At $400 an hour, I'll watch it. Give me some hot tamales that are 35% air and the rest hot tamales in the box, and I'm set.
You know, the irony here, Denise, the irony of all ironies is going to be this. If it goes to trial, he's going to have to try to show that he had this breakdown, that he needed all of this, and the key witness for him to come in to testify to whatever mental issues he's got going on is probably going to be Taylor Swift. And she's going to have to go in and say, yes, I can testify. He's out there in left field.
Well, she's part of these films and these secret tapes as well, for sure. That all comes out. So he canceled 21 concerts. He was in the hospital for 8 days. He gets out of the hospital and he goes to meet up with President Trump. And then he turns in his claim timely, and they reject it. And they reject it for no real reason except for the hint that he may have violated the drug clause by his marijuana use, because he's been very open about his marijuana use. But California has medicinal marijuana laws too, so it's going to be a fun interplay between federal and state.
Well, also
laws.
the timing of when they issued the policy. At the time they issued the policy, did they not know that Kanye was a habitual user of marijuana? I mean, you can listen.
They had to have known.
Absolutely. Who doesn't know that?
There's
Todd
going
knows
there's going to be at least two documents at play here. The first document is going to be the application, right? What he put in that application. Right. And then the second document is going to be the actual policy and any addendums to that policy.
Be careful what you guys put on applications when you're listening out there. You'd be shocked what people put on their applications, on any type of application, employment, real estate application, whatever it is. It's like it's going to come back to haunt you. So you better either be right or be careful in what you say, and that's for sure. But
yeah, be candid is the best thing, because if he did list that he had a medicinal marijuana license for California, then that's a disclosure. That's something that he disclosed up front. And whether or not it's going to come into play in the actual clause in the insurance contract, the drug clause, and it may not be since it's now legal.
Yeah.
So
I'm being facetious here, but how many celebrities that we know aren't on drugs these days? I mean, it seems like everybody's on drugs.
I don't know.
You know,
It
the
sounds
best golfer in the world's on drugs.
Sounds like we're going to get sued now again by a bunch of celebrities.
That's right.
It could be, but you had mentioned, the best golfer in the world's on drugs. All sorts of
What's
all
going on
sorts
with
of
him,
stuff.
by the way? What's going on with him?
one of the best.
One
of the best.
the
A
former
best.
yes.
What's going on with him?
Well,
What's the
Tiger
latest?
Woods, we had that he had that DUI arrest back our first part of the summer, late May, early June. We talked about that. We talked about that here and other stuff when some of the hosts were away in a tropical paradise. It starts with an H and rhymes with Blowayi. But so we talked about that, and Tiger Woods' arraignment was supposed to be up for around the 24th of July, and it got continued into August. And, a lot of people wondered, well, why would it get continued? Is this an open and shut case? He admitted that he was under the influence of a combination of medications that caused him to act erratically. But, when it comes to drug-based DUIs, nothing is ever really open and shut. And so what may be going on in Florida is the ability to get the toxicology results back to find out what he was under the influence of. I know that in some jurisdictions here in California, when I was a prosecutor, for example,
Back in odd six.
back in aught 6, aught 7, back in my day when we didn't have none of those dang drugs, what we had here was a local company in our jurisdiction did our drug-based evaluation or tested the blood. And we always got the results back in 3 to 4 weeks. Everything was fine. Well, then the DA's office went to using the Department of Justice to do their toxicology testing. And our getting the drug results back went from 3 weeks to sometimes 9, 10, 11 months. We were getting calls. Do you need these? Because your statute of limitations is coming up. And we could talk about that as we come out of the break. But that may be what's going on in Florida is just getting the tox results back.
We'll be right back.
Tweet us, Radio Law Talk.
Go to the website, radiolawtalk.com. You can listen to the show there, and there's a lot of other good information, too. That's radiolawtalk.com. And now, back to the show.
Just like Cal says, Radio Law Talk, you will see our website. We have a new website that's about 3/4 the way done. You think it's cool looking now, the website? The new website is just phenomenal, and it's going to be more interactive, and it's going to be fun. Because when you come and listen to us next week, have you ever watched the $100,000 pyramid when they go to the final thing and try to win $100,000 and they got to put their arms in those straps so they don't give the clues and use their hands? That's what you're going to have to do is put your hands in the strap and listen to us for 3 hours.
Trivia question for you. What celebrity prompted the rule that they had to have their arms in straps? They used to not. And then because of this celebrity's method of giving clues, they made him put his arm in straps, and they went forward with that after.
I'm going to say Robin Williams.
Way before Robin Williams.
Let's think. Way back. Bing Crosby.
Not Bing Crosby. One more. Denise, do you
Groucho
have?
Marx. Sorry, Denise.
It
I-
was
I took yours.
I have no idea.
William Shatner.
Whoa! What did William do? He's using his hands like
He was using. He was very demonstrative with everything he was doing, and I only know that because
You watch him all day long.
I watched. I was watching it when it happened. I was a kid, and I used to watch it with my mom, and I remember that happening. It was like, wow, interesting.
What's Todd doing today? Watching reruns of the $500 pyramid.
Yes, back in my day, $500 was a lot of money. That was enough to make Tiger Woods get bail.
No, the big bite was 10,000.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
it
right.
Was.
That's 10,000. Oh, we're aging ourselves. Chris is shaking his head. He goes, I'm still trying to figure out way back when how I was so stupid to throw something in the back of the trunk that stuck out and I got in trouble for it. I don't know.
The only host I know of $100,000 pyramid is Michael Strahan. Was there one before that?
Yeah. Oh, there's way before
yes.
Oh,
that.
jeez.
Well, Dick Clark
He's
used
still
to
trying to
host it.
figure out who William Shatner is.
I
I know he's the Travelocity guy.
I said-
right? Priceline.
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 I said Bing Crosby said, "Oh, I love those."
He was in a
cherries."
little show called Star Trek, Chris.
Yeah, the $100,000 or the $10,000 pyramid was originally hosted, I believe, by Dick Clark.
Yeah, I think so.
And they'd have the celebrities on there. It was really good. But we're back to talking about Tiger Woods, though.
Let's talk.
So we talked about it could be them waiting to get the toxicology results back. The other thing is they might have a bit of a difficulty there if he was on Ambien. You know, the whole idea behind crimes is you have to have the intent to commit the crime. Now, the I was drunk so I didn't know I was drinking and driving defense doesn't work because they've said, look, drinking and driving, you should have known that before you had the alcohol and goes in.
Right.
But when it comes to Ambien and you take Ambien and you think you are asleep, and it says right on the warning labels that you may do things while you are under the influences and you think you're asleep, and driving was one of them. And so there's the question about whether or not you had the intent to drive if you took the drug and you were asleep. I mean, the recommendation I have for anybody taking Ambien is if you have a safe or something that needs to be unlocked, or a glove, so put your keys there so you can't just wake up and drive. But that may be an issue they're dealing with, is research.
Interesting.
With Tiger Woods to see if they can even prosecute him.
Well, then everything comes back to me. I look across the table at Fred and I say, geez, this would be a great case for you. And maybe somebody's already sued Ambien, but if you can sleep drive while you're on it, that doesn't seem like a very safe situation.
Well, I heard a phrase once that said, anytime you see a warning on a piece of medication, you can thank a lawyer out there, and that's why the warning is there. And the warning is already on the Ambien label, so you know that's probably already come up.
I had a case that consent was the issue. Can you give consent when you're on Ambien?
Go look at. I bought a little tiny blow up thing for my kids to put my grandkids to play in the school. Stop, Todd. To play in the pool, and I'll tell you right now, Cal's in there shaking his head, going, "I got to find another job. I got to find another job."
Okay. Radio Law Talk. Too much information.
He can't even talk. He's trying to plug us in and talk. He's laughing too much. Listen, I'm getting to something serious here.
We're going to be talking blow-up toys.
That's exactly.
Do they have warning labels on there?
That's what I was just going to tell you. It had the whole half side of the turtle that is for floating around the pool for my little grandkids has got warning stickers. Let's please move on. I just wanted to bring up a little point, Todd, and you have taken us to the south.
I apologize. I wasn't the one that went to blow up stuff. But,
Okay, all right.
What did it warn? It warned.
There were so many warnings. I didn't even know what it was warning about. And I know it's the plaintiff's lawyers because I've sued on behalf of improper warnings, and I've won cases on behalf of improper warnings. But guess what? It's in different languages. It's different warnings, and it's so confusing. It kind of cracked me up even as a plaintiff's lawyer, going, "This is kind of getting ridiculous." But that's okay. My family is here in Hawaii because of warning labels and making money on warning labels. That's why I'm here at the Fairmont.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
Don't you think everybody out there goes, "Oh, I know why we hate lawyers now."
Yeah.
Maybe I'm the weird one. These warning labels actually make me want to try Ambien.
That's true.
I read these things, I'm like, geez, that sounds pretty cool.
That's right.
Makes you want to try the activity they're trying to warn you against.
Exactly.
Well, speaking of Ambien, okay, what's going on with marijuana? Is there any updates on the marijuana laws?
Well, we have not necessarily updates, but we have a couple of things. Since it's been legalized, they're going through the process of creating the regulations, the various state agencies that are tasked with the responsibility to oversee cultivation or licensing of cultivators and distributors and stuff. But there's a survey that I found of the types of licenses, a lot of different licenses out there related to marijuana. And there's a survey that I found that goes over the most popular types of licenses in California that have been sought. And number one on the list at about a little over 2,400 applications is the license for transporting marijuana. The transporter license. The drug dealers, I am informed, referred to these people as the mules back in the day. I was giving the air quotes for those of you that don't
watch us on
YouTube. And the people that want to be able to transport. And I remember when we were talking about marijuana, Fred, you raised the point that it's not the people that actually grow the marijuana or sell the marijuana that are going to make a lot of money. A lot like the gold rush days, it's the people that want to do and provide all of the incendiary things related to marijuana. Transportation would be one of them. Folks that are out there, look, I don't want to become an expert in horticulture or botany or whatever. I just want to be able to move it from point A to point B.
That's right.
And that is the largest single type of application.
You know who's making the most money right now on it? I'll tell you right now who's making the most money is the owners of industrial buildings. I own some industrial buildings, and the rents are going through the roof because they're growing them indoors in large industrial complexes. And I'll tell you, one of the largest complexes where they have marijuana growing like crazy is in Denver, Colorado. And then I own an industrial building in Denver, Colorado, and it's amazing how good that investment turned out to be. I don't have marijuana people growing anything, but I have I can't remember, Seth might know, but it's a company that just provides product, different gases and oxygens and
hydroponics.
Stuff. Yeah, whatever it is, that's what they use, and they pay on time. Never a complaint. In 4 years, I don't think I've had a complaint, or whenever it started 3 years ago, never had a complaint from them. They just pay.
It's interesting that you mention indoor grows, because that is the second largest type of application that people have put in for is indoor growing operations, small, medium, large indoor growing operations. And the reason why is under the law, local municipalities can still regulate it and make it illegal. So if you lived in Sacramento County, and Sacramento County decided that they wanted to make it illegal to grow marijuana, despite the state law saying it's legal, Sacramento County could make it illegal, but only to the extent that it's an outdoor grow. They cannot, by way of local municipality, whether city or state, prohibit indoor grows.
Interesting.
So Folsom's prohibition is only for outdoor grow.
That's right. And any other state, they can't prohibit the indoor grows, and so you see this increase in applications for indoor grows because it's protected against encroachment by cities and counties prohibiting it.
Quickly, is it transportation to deliver to people's houses, or is it to haul mass supplies back and forth? I thought it was mostly taxi cab type delivery companies.
Oh, that'd be Uber.
There you go.
And the answer to that question is most likely yes. You have people either way. You have people that are applying for it, but the regulations have yet to be finalized over what activities are allowable. So they want to get their applications on file, get their licenses on file, and then they wait for the final authority about where and how they can perform the transporting activities.
All right, we're going to come back and talk about airline seats, something that we've talked about before.
I want to talk about candy with all this marijuana talk.
Ooh, there you go, both.
Is there a Girl Scout company around here?
I hope so.
This is RadioLawTalk.com, and we thank you for listening.
Coach people know wait, sit, scuzz, wait, little piggies. So when you do get on, the first class people, they're already sitting there. They're all sprawled out in their big thrones. Bring me the head of a pig. And a goblet of something cool and refreshing. Anyone have a fiddle?
This is Brian Reagan, by the way.
Make someone from Coach fiddle for me. Amuse me. They have fiddles in the overhead racks up there. You're not allowed to even use their bathrooms. The bathrooms up front.
That's interesting how you roll in first class and you see the people. I hate to say it, but I've sat there before, so I can't say that I've never sat there. But
I fiddled for you.
I knew you walked by and gave me the evil eye, and I've given people the evil eye. But let me tell you, a group called the Flyers' Rights has asked the FFA to regulate the size and space of airline seats. They're claiming that it reduced the ability to exit the plane in case of an emergency. And the most important part, squeezing our hips is now going to cause the likelihood of blood clots, which we laugh about, but is actually true when it comes to just sitting around for a long period of time. And we talked about this during the break. And I've actually had cases come to our firm about people that literally they walk off the plane and they kill over and die due to the fact that they're sitting for so long. And I'm not talking 90, 80, 70-year-old men or women. I'm talking 30, 40-year-olds. When you sit on that plane and you see the weirdo like me lifting his legs up and down in his arms and flailing like, what's his name? Mr. Wong? Mr. Wong.
Mr. Dow?
Mr. Dow.
David Dow?
David Dow. Key it up. Key it up. There we go. When you're doing that, at least he's not going to die of a blood clot because you got to move around and scream a little bit to get the blood flowing. But that's one of the arguments of the flyers' rights. The FAA responded and says there's no safety concern, that it's a matter of comfort. The group challenged their non-action with a federal court of appeals, and the judges actually on the Federal Court of Appeals said that the FAA had relied on outdated or irrelevant tests and studies before deciding their seat spacing issue. And it was not necessary or may not be a matter of comfort, but they said the agency must come up with a better reasoned response why the group are bringing up these safety concerns.
So they got to study it more.
Well, yeah. But what's interesting, I don't care what anybody else says, and I'm a big guy. And, recently I've become almost Fred the Skinny, and I refuse to say how I do it or what I've done or who's helped me until I get paid for that. So I brought that up. Hey, you got a radio show, Mr. Penny. You've lost weight at our place. Yes, it'll cost you this much money for me to discuss it. No, we don't want to pay that. Good. Then nobody will ever know how I lost my 60.5 pounds to date. Another 20 to go, by the way. So anyway, Chris was telling me about your last experience with the Skinny Airlines seat.
Yeah, well, unlike you, Fred, I've sat in first class one time. But that's a law-related story. And I'll tell it real quickly. I was going to fly to Washington, D.C. for depositions, and my secretary tells me, hey, good news. I went to book your flight, and the airline said that you're eligible for an automatic upgrade to first class. And I said, well, okay, how much does that cost? No, it's free. It's the exact same cost as a coach seat. So I said, do it. Well, the client gets the bill for the airline ticket. I think it was like $350, and it says first class. And they said, we don't pay for first class. And I had to go through and tell this whole story, which they didn't believe anyway. And so basically, my client was ticked at me for sitting in first class. So I've never sat in first class ever again.
And flying first class on his or her dime.
Well, that's right. But it wasn't any more. But anyway, that's a tough story to tell. So long story short, I always sit in coach, and I'm not a big guy. So, if I can get the ticket a little bit cheaper, make those seats smaller, it doesn't bother me at all.
Right.
But there are some things that are classically going on in coach, people fighting over the armrests.
Tell them how you do your armrest move.
Well,
tell us.
It's the most passive-aggressive scene that you can possibly have. People sit down. The guy next to you puts his arms on both armrests, and then you're sitting there instead of reading the in-flight magazine. You have your arms, you have your elbows in, and you're just waiting for that person to give a little inch. They reach up to scratch their nose, your arm goes right in.
It's the arm down.
And then you stare at each other. So there's that going on. The other pet peeve of mine is I like to put my head down on the tray in front of me, and I can sleep that way. I've been able to do that since math class, junior year. And if you do that, and the person in front of you, like Todd, we were talking, off the air, he likes to recline his seat back. You can paralyze somebody. I'm surprised you haven't had cases come in like that, where the person behind was sleeping and the guy reclines his chair. So all kinds of those unpleasantries happen back in coach, Fred.
I really like when somebody reclines their chair just enough so I can get my knees up on it, and lay back and sleep.
Oh, you like it when they do that?
I do, because in the old days when there was room, when you reclined, it gave you just the right space to put your knees up and lay back. But now, you don't have any room to put your knees up.
No. Now,
difficult.
There was a great article that I just read about 2 lawyers, so it's perfectly topical, flying into Malaga, Spain, right? So you should be happy. You're flying into a great place. I believe that's in the south of Spain. The weather's gorgeous. But these 2 lawyers, because lawyers fight about everything, get in a fight over who gets the armrests.
Whoa.
And instead of just doing the normal passive-aggressive thing, they actually have an oral argument about it in the plane. And it goes viral, apparently. Well, one of the lawyers is arguing that the middle seat should get both armrests.
Oh.
Because the middle seat is landlocked. They can't go anywhere. The person on the aisle can get up and go out. And the person on the aisle is saying, well,
logical.
No, I have an armrest to my right, and by God, I should be able to use it. And it turns out that the etiquette, the flight etiquette people have been consulted, and there is no right answer on this, surprisingly.
I think the ones that are facing right and left, they have to lean to the right or lean to the left, and
So you got to choose one side.
Make sure
You
you
gotta choose
tweet
one
in
side.
what you think the right answer is on airplane etiquette. There's another etiquette issue on the airplanes. It's very important. This is a very important legal issue. Maybe we could start our own etiquette book, lawyer's etiquette book on what you should do on an airline, especially when you're sitting in a seat. What about the immediate lean backer? You know what? All right, we're taking off. The wheels are up. Boom, it comes back. What about that? Is that okay? Or do you wait at a proper 10,000 feet elevation lean back?
You follow the rules of the airline for sure.
I just have to laugh at the people that lean back because, I mean, it's not like you're in your lazy boy chair where you lean back and you're able to put your feet up and you're almost horizontal. Leaning back in an airline chair gives you what? Maybe 2 degrees, 3 degrees of lean back. You go back about 4 or 5 inches, and that's it. But now I'm reclining. Oh yes, that's exactly what I want.
Isn't that human nature to take advantage to the fullest of every right that you have afforded to you? If my seat leans back, by God, I'm putting it back. If I
if
am
I can
entitled
use
to
that armrest, I'm using
if
that.
I'm entitled to
armrest.
3 bags of peanuts and they only give me 2, I'm writing a letter.
Guess what? These are 4 lawyers arguing over the issues and etiquette of the airlines. And you know what? We're all passionate about it. That's what's exciting and interesting. So, you know what you need to do, C-Rod? It's very simple. Just go to first class. You don't have to worry about the armrest issue.
You know, when I was growing up, I could never really figure out why my older brother and older sister they didn't like me very much growing up. And my mom tells a story. We were moving from California back to New Jersey. Dad was driving out with all the furniture, so we flew out. And I did not know this, but it explains why they didn't like me. Everything was in coach. I was about 2 years old. And the flight attendants really liked me, so they picked me up out of coach, and I flew the rest of the way from Sacramento to New Jersey in first class.
Age 2?
At age 2, while my brother and sister and mom and grandmother were back in coach, and they've held a grudge against me ever since. I can't figure out why.
Same reason why people walk by and look at those first classers as you first classer. I don't know.
You are such an inconsiderate little 2-year-old. You didn't even give up that seat for your grandmother?
I didn't even know. You know?
Yeah.
That's terrible.
So tell the story about flying to Vegas.
We don't have time. We only got 30 seconds left because we're going to talk more about candy bucks, but we're not going to get to candy. But you know what? You better be careful when you look at that Mike Ike's and hot tamales. Till next week, 3 hours next week. Come and join all of us. We're going to talk about some cool latest updates. See you next week.
And on a Monday, I'm gonna love you. And
You've been listening to RadioLawTalk.com.
And on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, gonna love you.
You have been listening to RadioLawTalk.com, a copyrighted presentation of Radio Law Talk Incorporated.